Hello, it's Saturday the 6th of July. We're still at anchor in Newtown Creek. I think the last time we spoke we'd just arrived here, and yeah, amazing. That was a week ago.
Yeah, it's been a long week.
Aye, a long week stuck in a little tiny boat.
It's been more challenging than the rowing.
It definitely has. Aye, this has been the hardest, but when you're rowing you've got something to focus on and do, and it's physically and mentally tiring and exhausting at times, so when you do get a bit of rest you can quite quickly crash out. But sitting on a little tiny boat in a little tiny cabin with not a lot to do is without a doubt the hardest bit of this.
Yeah, because the weather hasn't even been particularly good for sitting outside. In fact, yesterday it was just really quite wet and miserable. But it has given us a chance to reflect and chat about the journey so far and what we're making of it. So I think fair to say that we both realise that life, we could lead such a much simpler life. We've got hardly any creature comforts here. It just makes us realise that I suppose we're quite materialistic at home.
Yeah, without even realising it.
Yeah, you know. We've chatted about things that we can change in our day-to-day lives that need changing, just to make us happier in the long run. And not that we're unhappy, but I think things have been highlighted to us that we do need to change, and we need to work less and play more, I think is one of the outcomes. I mean, we both love our jobs, but we certainly just need to take more time for ourselves and work slightly less hours, I think is probably fair to say. But I hear we'll probably go back and be working 40 odd hours when the time we get back.
Well, I'm going to have to, because one of the things I've been doing while we've been sitting is, well, I've realised more coming along the south coast than anywhere else because I've seen more boats, but passing all these sailing boats thinking I want a yacht. It looks way more easier than rowing. So I've been busy looking on the internet at yachts. So I probably will be back to working. Well, no probably about it, I'll have to.
We'll both be back at work, there's no doubt about that. We can't afford not to, that's the be all and end all of it all.
But you can dream, and it would be nice to have a boat that we can use as a space, something to do. And I love being on the water. That's the thing that I've enjoyed most so far, is just being on the water. There's something quite special about it.
Yeah, it's nice. A good day on the water is definitely better than a bad day in the office.
Or a bad day on the water.
No, I can't even think.
A bad day on the water better than a good day in the office.
A bad day on the water is better than a good day in the office, is what they say. And it's kind of true, I think. So Alan's been looking at yachts. Somebody suggested we do some Duolingo, so I'm notoriously bad for languages. I've never been particularly good at them, so I've decided that we'd do some Arabic. That was inspired by listening to a really good podcast called The Heart of Arabia. So thank you to Mark for that wee gem of inspiration. I'm not promising I'll be able to speak any Arabic when I come back, but I'll have a good try.
You'll know what some squiggles on the paper mean anyway.
Well, I got on much better once I started realising that they read from right to left and not left to right. It kind of started making sense then. But that's Duolingo, and they've got lots of languages to choose from, so if you want a wee challenge, go for that.
Yeah, I've given up Duolingo. I was what did I have? Over 1,300 day streak before setting off on the row, and I found it quite quickly. I decided, no, I'm going to park that because my brain's too tired to actually do it. And I was on day 1,381, I think it was, of Gaelic.
Gaelic, but you're still too scared to speak a sentence when somebody speaks to it.
Camera hat.
I don't know, what's your favourite been so far?
I think just being on the water, but it's been pretty cool when boats come out and meet us. Not just lifeboats. Lifeboats is a special thing because we're both part of that anyway, and we know some of the people that are coming out. We don't know everybody, but it's nice when you have people coming out to say hello. But even just passing boats coming over to say hello, it's actually really nice, and it gives you a proper lift as well when you've been stuck on a little boat solely concentrating on rowing or whatever it is we're doing at that time, you know. Your mind just kind of wanders off and just lives in that little bubble, but when somebody comes along, I don't know, I find it gives me a right lift speaking to people.
It does me as well. I think it's just their smile and their genuine enthusiasm that it just gives you that lift and reminds you why you're doing it and things. And
yeah,
it's great just to meet different people and learn their story and tell them our story and things, and it's really interesting. We've met some really interesting characters along the way.
And you do get a reminder, you know, there's a lot more rescues and things go on down on the south coast because there's a lot more boats. But hearing the radio on channel 16, you know, even at daft o'clock this morning there was a pan for a boat with a filled propeller, and I think Swanage lifeboat was launched it. So it's you know, it keeps it real. Hearing things like that going on around about, and that's just the lifeboat side. We know that the air ambulance side of things is incredibly busy, and you know, there was a post on Facebook from SCA the other day about a job they did at St Abbs. Person was injured and they flew there and got them help really quickly. So it's, you know, it keeps it real. Hearing these things firsthand or reading about them.
Yeah, it's absolutely, the two resources are absolutely brilliant, and it's phenomenal to think how much money we're actually raising here, and that's what we're here for. And it really is outstanding and really quite overwhelming at times to think how much money we've raised. And there's some offline donations coming in as well that needed to be added to the pot going forward, so we're reaching that target pretty quickly, and both of us were hoping that we'll well and truly smash it, so it's looking like that's going to be the case, so fingers crossed that's what happens.
Station calling for a radio trip assisted.
Sorry, that's just keeping it incredibly real that we are on a boat just now and the radio's on. I forgot to turn it down before we started.
So I think my favourite bit has actually been the sleeping seals.
Oh, yeah.
They were epic. I had no idea that seals slept upright with their noses in the air like they just don't care.
Aye,
and so soundly.
At Flamborough Head,
yeah,
we were going round the very tip of Flamborough Head, and there was loads of seals around us, but there was two in particular I could see in the distance, and I thought, oh, they'll move before we get there, and we got a bit closer, and they weren't for moving. And bear in mind we're in a fairly quiet boat. You know, all you hear is the splash of the oars hitting the water, and a wee bit of a water noise as the hull makes its way through the water. There's no engine or noises like that, so they probably didn't hear us genuinely, but we were within touching distance of them before they both woke up and got a little bit of a fright and swam away.
Well, they've got their counterparts have got their own back down here, because I didn't realise how noisy seals could actually be.
It sounds quite distressing. There's all sorts of cries and barks, and last night was torrential rain, and I'm convinced that there's a seal over there that doesn't like the rain, because it was like a crying sound that was coming from it.
Yeah.
I'll not try and replicate it.
Please don't. So, what else have you enjoyed? Oh, the other bit that was really special was the dolphins going into Stonehaven Bay after that horrendous night that we'd had.
Aye, that was
really special.
That was cool. That was like they were guiding us in.
It's like welcome to safety.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any dolphins or porpoises for a long time. I don't know.
We haven't moved for a long time.
This is true, but even prior to that, since we've hit the south coast, really, we've not seen anything since the Thames estuary, dolphin wise.
No.
Porpoise wise.
No, there's not. There's been a lot of seals, but no, not. I'm sure we'll get some more coming up the west coast. We're bound to see something, and I mean that's not going to be that far away. We've got around about 200 nautical miles to run from here to Land's End, and it might be a bit longer than that looking at the weather forecast, because we might have to hug the coast, so 200 nautical miles is, you know, my straight line more or less. So it's not going to be that long, fingers crossed, before we get around, subject to weather.
Yeah, which we're hoping there's going to be a wee window on early hours on Monday morning that coincides with the tide, so tomorrow's going to be a day of housekeeping, tidying up after being a pair of sloths for a week pretty much. Doesn't take much for Boudicea to come quite unkempt and untidy though, because there's not really an awful lot of space, as we keep telling you.
Yeah, but it won't take long.
It'll not take long, it'll take about 15 minutes, but yeah, we'll just give it a good tidy up and things before we go back to sea and make sure that everything's well and truly secured, just so it's not getting tumbled about if we hit some weather.
Yeah,
so,
which is fairly likely.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear the wind whipping round outside at the moment. It's maybe not picking up on the...
Yeah, there's a... sounds like a rattle. I don't know if you can hear that. That's actually the ensign on the wee flagstaff at the very aft end of the boat, and it's the rope rattling in the wind, believe it or not, rattling off the wee flagstaff. I might go and jam something in it tonight, because at 2 in the morning it can be a wee bit, I don't know, a bit annoying. Although I've been sleeping through it.
It's no more annoying than the radio.
True.
Which we need to keep on for safety purposes, just in case somebody's trying to get hold of us, so it's not just as simple as turning it off. And the anchor alarm, it always decides to go off at 1 o'clock in the morning as well, just for a
Yes.
rude awakening.
And you know, and you have to check that out. So it's, when the anchor alarm's off, it's a loud beeping sound, and you have to basically check, because it means that your anchor might be dragging. The boat's moved basically. So if you ignore it, you could end up aground. Certainly where we are just now, we're very, very restricted in the amount of water that's round about us. There's less than 100 metres either side of us, so it doesn't take long if the anchor's dragging that, you know, before we would actually be aground. So we need to check it out. So it means opening your eyes, which is quite difficult at 2 in the morning, and once you do eventually get them working, stick your head out the hatch and have a look, and then just check the chart and reset the alarm. We did, I think it had moved one night, and it was the first night that we'd relocated further up the creek, but aye, it's not moved since. I think it's just the turn of the tide, and it has a wee bit of an effect. But anyway, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I don't think we've got anything else to report at the moment, so
hopefully the next update will be a wee bit further along the coast.
Yeah.
Cool. Bye for now.